We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how chant birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh, thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liễu sanh thoát tư vì khổ đắc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sananto Suchedo Ye Olahodi San Miao San Puto Xie. Nam mô Ta Tha Tha Toya Daya Alahade Tamio Dambo Da Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng she wei miao fa bai jian wan jie nan zao yi, wo jin jian wen de shou qu, yuan jie ru lai zhen shi yi. Om Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Ching Liang, Great Master YongHua, all monks and nuns, and all good advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大师、师父上人、各位出家人、各位上智士, Emitofuo. Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư, Hòa thượng Tuyên Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today is the 23rd of January 2022. Thank you all for coming. It's nice to see you again. We are resuming our normal Sutra lectures schedule, which is we lecture on the Avatamsaka Sutra, first chapter, on Sunday afternoon at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. We are in the midst of discussing the 10 paramitas. We discussed last times, we discussed the first 6. The first 6 paramitas are the core of the Bodhisattva practices. All Bodhisattva practices are included in the 6 paramitas, and therefore it contains all the wonderful myriad practices. Okay, and however, when you get to higher levels of the high level bodhisattvas, namely grounds 7 to grounds 10, they're practicing a more advanced level of paramitas that need to be differentiated. So after you practice the first 6 paramitas, you understand, you open and you unfold your prajna wisdom, And now you, at the advanced levels, you now go into number 7, which is expedience, meaning that this is critical for bodhisattvas in training, because in order to teach people, you need to use expedience. So bodhisattvas, to further their skills in helping living beings, they practice, they need to learn about expedience. Okay, so by using the expedience here, that's how they get to hone the wisdom. Okay, in solving, wisdom is solved by is opened by solving problems. So unless you have problems, unless you have problems and you need to solve, your wisdom is very difficult to increase your wisdom. Okay, so this is contrast. This, for example, the Hinayana, where they only worry about themselves. They said, everything is empty, nothing matters anyway, everything is false, so what's the point? Even living beings are false, I'm false, problems are false, so nothing matters at all. It's only at their own perspective where they feel that everything is false. But to us, confused living beings, everything is so real. Okay, and that's why in order to help confused living beings, we need to use expedience. Knowing full well they're false, deep down they're false, but in order to help living beings who take everything to be true, money to be true, houses to be true, love to be true, red cars to be true. Wait a minute. Should think about this, huh? And then, so that's why the bodhisattva need to pretend that they're true. They pretend that they also care about cars, about houses, about love and all those things, in order to rescue living beings and have a chance to teach them. All right? And in doing so, they're further strengthen or strengthen the wisdom, the power of wisdom. All right? So, and after that, the 8th paramita is called Vowel Parameters. While 7th is for 7th ground bodhisattva, as you might have guessed. 8th ground bodhisattvas, their jobs in this world, when they come to our world, is to practice vows. Okay? Meaning what? They make countless vows, and each vow is infinite. Okay? So that's what bodhisattvas do. They are not small thinkers like us. They think big time. And they think they're not limited by time, they're not limited by space, meaning that the vows, they will execute the vows everywhere, not just this world, not this higher world, it's all over universe. Okay? And that's as far as space goes. Time also as well. They said, I make this vow here that until the end of time shall I stop bringing my vows to fruition. Okay, so that's why bodhisattvas, they come to our world and they to fulfill these vows, to practice these vows. So in particular, the 8th ground bodhisattvas, what do they do when they come to our world? So let me backtrack a little bit. The 7th ground bodhisattva, they come to our world. What did they do? Yes, Andrea's fault.
7 ground bodhisattvas practice expedience. 8th ground bodhisattvas practice their vows.
That's why I just said, you don't need to repeat me. Excuse me? You mean like lunch got to you? What do they do exactly? I'm looking for specifics. Like they make music, work with skulls, or... What is it what they do? Yes, one.
They probably practice the vows they made countless lifetimes ago to save living beings. But each I think that a lot of the vows are different. Like the Venerable Master Qing Liang had different vows than other bodhisattvas.
Absolutely. Expedience. What are expedience? Expedient means that it's not what it appears to be. It's not what you think. You see, up to 6, the first 6 is straightforward. You know, what's one again? One is giving. So you give. Experience, what do experienced people do? I take. I don't give. Okay? So they come in our world and they practice giving, but in a form of taking. How's that? How is it possible? It's so obvious. You see it every day. You don't get it. Oh my God, 6.
Master, I think they take because then they can reach other people that take.
Too Catholic.
Oh,
yes, 5. Is this your, yeah.
Master, they create a condition for people to give.
Excuse me, what did you say? Okay, anyone else? How do you practice experience? Kong.
Master, did you say they take? So you just said they take, so they give a lot of blessings? Because living beings have only limited ways to create limited amount of blessings. So maybe the Bodhisattva practice experience so that the living beings can make offerings and get a lot of blessings from them to practice?
This is wisdom somewhere in Korea. Okay. So when you buy on Amazon, I'm not sure whether you have Amazon in Korea or not, but you buy in Amazon. When I buy in Amazon, why do I buy in Amazon? Because I think I'm getting a good deal. I don't know about you. That's the only time I buy is when I get a good deal. Okay? Meaning that the money I pay for, okay, I'm getting more back in return. So the principle is that the Bodhisattvas, they create conditions for you to make offerings to them, to give them money, for example, give them churches. Okay? Red cars and so forth. And then you think you're giving them money, so you think you're doing them a favor. Actually, what you're getting back is a lot more than you give. So you have the ability to return, to give them much better returns than buying the stock markets or cryptocurrencies. Does it make sense? So on the surface, it appears that they're taking your money. They're taking your houses, actually, they're giving you back a lot more. So far, so good? A typical example. So that's on the surface, it looks like, that we are doing a favor. Listen, I buy you a church, I build you a new temple or something. Come, I take care of you. Actually, they're doing a lot more for you in return. Why is that? Why? Yes, Andres. 1.
Because they have a very big field of blessings and they're giving you their blessings.
Yeah, they have a lot of blessings. That's why otherwise they go broke and become beggars. Okay? Because if they take from you, then they owe you. And that's a nice form of giving. Is that not only you get a lot of blessings, they are also getting blessings as well. Okay. Anyway, all right. And another experience is that I remember going to Hong Kong. Taiwan, Taipei. And there is Master Sứ Hạng. Okay, Sứ Hạng was a seventh ground Bodhisattva. I didn't realize it back then. Later, I realized it's a seventh ground Bodhisattva. And I walked into there and I saw photos of him. And he's for a monk. He's like 3-4 times the size of a typical monk. Especially when he was bare-chested the whole time. Luckily, he had no hair, no chest hair. Okay, so you have this humongous Chinese monk here, bare-chested, and he sits down and he's always laughing like Maitreya Bodhisattva. And typically, back in his era, monks are supposed to be very thin. And yet he came across as greedy for food. Okay? And he's a seventh ground Bodhisattva. And also, anyone remember Guiji? National Master Guiji? Even way before that, his episode with Dao Xuan. Okay? Dao Xuan was is an fourth-stage arhat, very famous for practicing precepts, purity. So he would go to the mountains, away from civilization, and practice purity. So he observed precepts. Okay, meditate, observe precept, meditate, observe precept. And he was so virtuous, so his purity was so well known that every day the heavenly beings would come and make offerings to him, heavenly food to him. So he never had to cook, never. So people heard of it. So they say, Dao Xuan Fa Shi, he doesn't cook every day. He has before 11, the heavenly beings will come and make heavenly food offerings to him. Okay, and so Guiji, who was then a national master at the time, he says, "Wow." Guiji is known to be very greedy for food. And so Guiji says, this is according to Master YongHua's story. Anyone remember that story? So Guiji says, let me go and try to eat some of this heavenly food. I never ate heavenly food before. Kimchi I've had, pool noodle I had, French bread I had, but never had heavenly food before. So let's go pay him a visit. Since I'm a senior person, he has to retain me, keep me back to make food offerings to me. So that's how he's gonna figure. He figured he's gonna get some heavenly food for a change. So he went there, and sure enough, Dao Xuan was very happy because Guiji is a national master. He's famous. So Dao Xuan said, "Would you like to stay for for lunch?" "Oh yeah, you're right. I can't get back quickly enough for my lunch time. So would you mind?" I said, "Oh yeah, don't worry." Dao Xuan says, "Usually they give me too much food. I don't, I can't finish them all." So Guiji, "Okay, fine. If I'm not imposing, I stick around." So they sat around and talk. After a while, kind of late. He's not coming. No food. Typically, heavenly beings are very punctual because Dao Xuan is very strict. He eats exactly at 11 o'clock, finishes before noon. Everything is done, on time. But 11 o'clock, no food showed up. Waited a little bit longer. 11:30, nothing showed up. And they ran out of things to talk about. Okay? And And waited, and until the afternoon, nothing. No one showed up. So by then, it was too late for Guiji to go back. So he said, he might as well stay overnight. So he stayed overnight, and the following day he left. There's more going on. The following day he left, so next day at 11, the heavenly beings came, made offerings to him. And Dao Shen said, "Where were you yesterday? Where were you?" He says, the heavenly being said, "We came. 11 o'clock sharp, we came. But when we got to your place, this big light, this so blinding light, we couldn't see the way, so we couldn't get in. We didn't dare get in. So that's why they couldn't see the way, so they couldn't bring the food in. So it turns out the lights from Guiji. Hey, baby. You're about the same height as your brother. So anyway, so Guiji also, according to Master Shenhua, I never met Guiji, so I don't know, is also 7th ground Bodhisattva. They pretend to be greedy for food, but they actually are not. Okay, so they put on these things that, and that's part of the experience practice. So we, as ordinary people, mortals, we cannot tell the difference. Okay, and that's precisely the point. Okay, you're not supposed to know. That's why it's called experience. They cover the tracks very well. So they do things so that's why in Buddhism, at their level, is not the way you think. Okay. So that's what experience is about. So the more experienced they are, the higher they are. They keep on practicing experience. They practice experience at the 8th ground level, 9th ground level, to the 10th ground level as well. So they get more and more advanced in terms of experience. Experience is only starts at first, at 7, but then it gets much more sophisticated. Okay? So far, so good. Same thing. At 7, they also practice giving. They also practice precepts. They also practice patience. They also practice vigor and so forth. But much more advanced. So far, so good. Don't think that at 7 they don't, I don't practice giving anymore. I don't practice patience anymore. And the patience at the 7th ground is much more grueling, much more difficult. Thank you. Didn't I see you somewhere in San Jose? Never mind. Go ahead.
Master, last time you explained the 10 paramitas, you said they weren't mutually exclusive to the ground. Like you said, I said, so does the first ground only practice this or practice that? You said, no, it's not. I think you said something like you can mix and match or something like that.
Yeah, you can mix and match. But each level of ground Bodhisattva, they specialize in perfecting those. So for example, first ground is specialized in perfecting giving paramita. Okay, and then they keep practicing it over and over again, lifetime after lifetime, and they say, okay, paramita, I got it. They moved on. Next. All right. And our vows. Vows are so they make vows as many trips to our worlds. They make a lot of vows, and therefore they keep on coming back to fulfill those vows, because it's not always possible to fulfill the vows one time, so they keep on coming back time and time again to fulfill the vows. Okay, so in terms of the actual bodhisattvas who practice these things, what do they do? Okay, examples that comes to mind is Master Xu Yun, who's the 8th ground Bodhisattva, according to Master YongHua. Okay, so what does he do? What he does is he builds temples. He fixes temples. So when you see the monks and nuns who spend a lot of time doing temples, fixing temples, building temples, then you know it's probably, okay, probably 8th ground Bodhisattva. Okay, we're talking about a lot of temples, big temples, humongous temples. Okay. Any questions? Okay. 9th is power. 9 paramita, they practice power. Okay. The power to do what? The power, bodhisattvas need to build up their power. Okay. In order to do the bodhisattva work, you need to have strength. You need to have power. Okay. So what is it? The power they need to do exactly. The power to be able to do good. Doing good takes a lot of power. Does it make sense? Doing evil doesn't take that much power. It's much easier. Okay? Doing good is to reverse the go against the flow. The flow of the world is going down the drain. So you know, when you do bad things and do evil things, it's fairly easy because you have a lot of companionships. When you do good things, you're going to reverse the flow. You're going upstream, if you will. Okay, so it takes a lot of power. Okay, and that's why the bodhisattvas need to build the power to keep on doing good. Okay, in spite of the difficulties, the obstructions, and your own family trying to stop you. Okay, to harm you even. Okay, and also the power, also very important, is to power to discern. Discern what? True from false. Isn't that interesting? You need power to discern the true from the false. A lot of power to do that. Why is that? Because life is so confusing. It's very difficult to discern the true. The false is everywhere. You look at everywhere, it's false. But to be able to discern the true in the midst of all this false here, is extremely difficult. So you need the power to do that. So far, so good? All right. And finally, the 10th paramita is intelligence or wisdom. Okay? This intelligence is very simple. This intelligence, wisdom here refers to the fact you need the wisdom to be able to understand, thoroughly understand everything. There's nothing that you don't understand. Okay? So this person is what you might call the Buddhist what? Renaissance man. There's nothing he doesn't know. There's nothing he doesn't understand. Probably he invented the Renaissance concept, if you ask me. Nothing he doesn't understand. Can you imagine that? Carpentry, medical science, shrinkhood, engineering. Nothing he doesn't understand. Isn't it fascinating? And like Master YongHua, you know, he came so many times. He told Heng Chang, one of his disciples, he says, you Asians are so impressed with Wei Gu Zi. Chinese people help me out. Gui. quỷ, ghost, quỷ, cốc, cốc is yu. The guy, that guy, a Chinese guy, is famous for his knowing things in advance. Okay, and he's very famous in China. He has such a wisdom. Okay, he has such worldly skills. Okay, and Master YongHua says, "Yeah, that used to be me. I used to be that guy." Okay, and so in order to acquire this ability to know a lot, okay, nothing you don't know, these Bodhisattva comes to our world and advance men's knowledge of architecture, of medicine, of whatever, if you will. Does it make sense? That's how they contribute. They learn, and then they advance it. Isn't that cool? Don't think the Bodhisattvas don't care. They come to our world actually to contribute, to advance our knowledge. Not uncommon at all. Okay? Yes?
I thought that was the fourth ground Bodhisattva who did that.
No, that fourth ground Bodhisattva is to acquire knowledge. Okay? Meaning he would be a voracious reader. Okay? He reads anything and he picks them up. Okay? But he doesn't necessarily push the envelope, advance the knowledge at all. It's 10th, where they actually thoroughly understand a lot more than we can. So that's how they can teach us a little bit more to advance our knowledge. Does it make sense? He understands engineering so much more than he can explain to you. So that's why he explains you a little bit more to push envelope for you. Does it make sense? That's how they come to our world, and their understanding and their insights are incredible. We have no clues on how they know so much. Okay? They know a lot more than they can teach us. All right? So these bodhisattvas, they really are major contributors to the sciences and to human knowledge, if you will. Major advancements. Excuse me? All right. Any questions? Yes, 6.
Master, would you say that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas actually support any kind of development in our world to help us improve?
Yeah, they do. They do, but each one of them has very specific goals. They have, if you will, these beings, they don't waste time. They're not like us. We wander around and haphazardly do things, go about things. Actually, these bodhisattvas, they are very focused, and they have predetermined paths, if you will. Okay, everything paves the way for that. Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. Thinking about all these things being after mastery of Samadhi and mastery of real mark prajna, like, really is beyond me. But when you're talking about like expedience and power and intelligence for like a person like me, and I see somebody who has those abilities, I'm immediately just wow, you're so wise, like, and I should venerate that. But from somebody at that level to another person at that level, what's a motivation that allows them to get these things, or What is another person who has these abilities looking at this person and thinking about them instead of just wow?
What is the what?
Okay, so when I'm just in awe of anybody who has any of these advanced paramitas, right? And that's the only real understanding that I have of it. But from one Buddhist practitioner who has access to those paramitas to another, how do they evaluate or judge each other that they're doing it right, that they're following the path, and when it's not just like, admiration?
They don't look at each other's work and comment on each other's work or judge each other's work. The nature of what you do in life speaks for itself. You don't need to judge it. No one else needs to judge it, because if it's good enough, then you'll be rewarded. You have the blessings and you have the results you're supposed to get. So the Bodhisattva don't look at each other and say, oh, you do it so well. Can I be better than you? Or you don't do it as well as I do. They don't care. It's not relevant. It's unlike us where we look, at the neighbors and see, they have a nice fence, why can't we have one? So no, Bodhisattvas don't operate that way. They simply compete against themselves. They're perfectionists. They keep on going at it and going at it. And they said, could I do it better? Could be improved. Okay? And that's the nature of these paramitas. They keep on improving, indefinitely. They're never happy. Okay? So, for example, they come here and be born in our world like Master YongHua, and we practice at his level, we practice OTEP. Okay? So he kept on refining giving, he's on refining precepts and patience and so forth. And so they go at it, okay, and they only look at themselves. They don't look at others. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant what others do. Okay, and there's no criteria because it's infinite. You keep on making it better and better and better and better. That's what's amazing about it. They find a way to make it better. Okay? Maybe that's why cryptocurrencies was invented, to make money better. I don't know. Just kidding. Yes, 3.
So if let's say a first or second ground bodhisattva has a teacher that's in, above 8th or whatever, can sudden teaching allow them to skip levels?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Yes. The lady, 3.
Master, is it possible for a living being to encounter more than one bodhisattva during their lifetime?
Oh, bodhisattvas are everywhere, my dear. Everywhere. It's just you just can't tell who they are, that's all. Or you can see them. I assure you, Bodhisattva is here today because they say, oh, look at these idiots, don't know what they're talking about. Sometimes the top guy say, well, I'm kind of tired of going to the movies. Let's go to Way Mountain Temple and see what these idiots talk about. I'm going to go back and tell my wife about it. Sometimes you get bored. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. I assure you, the Bodhisattvas everywhere. Everywhere. And low level, high level, everywhere. It's just that the Bodhisattvas, therefore, we cannot tell. That's why I try to remind all of you that to think you're better than the next person is totally hogwash. It's totally stupid. If my disciples think like that, I would slap them in the faces. I mean, just look around and say, you cannot tell, you cannot recognize who's better than you. There's plenty of people better than us. It's because there's so many bodhisattvas around. And remember that this yesterday when we finished the Chanchi, what did we do? We dedicated everything we did, everything we accomplished to the Dharma Protectors. So far, so good. Dharma Protectors. We didn't say, I'm so proud of myself. I accomplished so much. I'm so special. And you know, what's a lot you accomplished the last Chanchi is incredible. It's outstanding. Okay? But what do? We say, we're so cool. We're so superior. Look at us. You see anyone as good as we are? No. It's the wrong kind of mindset. So we got there. We accomplished those things because the truth of the matter, okay, that's from the Bodhisattva teaching. It's because we got help, a lot of help we don't even know about. It's not. Without the help, there's no way we could have done it. All you see are the bad news that reported in the news channels, or the calamities that you read about. You don't see what the Bodhisattvas are doing behind the scenes to make all this happen. And for the Chanchi to be so uneventful, think about it. No earthquake, no fire, lots of food. Let's not forget that. Cake. Think about it. We didn't have to do anything. We just sat there, meditated, walk in the parking lot, sweep a little bit dust. Okay? Can we do that without the police protection? Can we do it without the armed forces protecting our boundary, our frontiers, the frontier regions? So, in the real world, we see that we need the police, we need the firemen, we need the army, the armed forces in order to provide protection to the country. It's the same thing happens here. It's for them to protect against the people you can see. The Bodhisattvas are protecting us. The Dharma Protectors are protecting us against the invisible beings who are much more dangerous, much more harmful. Way more harmful. And that's why these are the Dharma Protectors actually in Buddhism, especially around here, are Bodhisattvas who pretend to be Dharma Protectors, who pretend to be, like a dragon or something, okay? Because they made those vows, I will manifest as a dragon to support the Dharma propagation. But actually, they're high-level bodhisattvas. They're indestructible, okay? And that's how they can protect us. Because think of it, each and every one of us have a different types of enemies, okay? The higher level and much more powerful your enemies. So when you hear, okay, you bring the enemies, you draw your enemies to here, okay? And that's why the lower level Dharma Protectors cannot protect you. So their Dharma Protectors have to protect all of us. You see, it's very complicated. It's a lot more involved than you think. So that's why when we finish all that, we realize, in fact, it happened. The accomplishments came about because we got protection, we got help. No way we could have done it on our own. No way, I assure you. Meaning that they realized that we're worth protecting, Okay? And they are able to protect us from our enemies, our common enemies. So that's why I said, hey, this is thanks to you. So what I accomplish here goes to you. So how dare you? How would you dare, any of you would dare to think that you're better than anyone else? What kind of nonsense is that? You old people, you get here, you got where you are today because of help. And you turn around and say, I'm better than you? How stupid can you be? I used to be that way at my master's temple. Look at you don't know how to practice, you don't know how to meditate, you don't know how to do ceremonies, you speak all the wrong stuff, you teach going hugging trees. What is the matter with you? And it's so stupid. The Bodhisattvas don't function like that. They look at themselves, they say, hey, they compete against themselves. In other words. Yes, 3.
Master, just a comment on providing protection. When you were here, everybody was very good at keeping the place clean. Like every day I look outside, people are cleaning up. And the day you left for San Jose, the next day we had a windstorm here in Los Angeles, and it blew leaves everywhere. Basically, you left for San Jose, the next day, everything was messed up. So thank you for the protection that you provided.
Oh, it wasn't me. It blew in San Jose too. It's everywhere. It's probably like the pandemic thing, you know? It hits everyone at the same time. But I noticed one of my disciples sent me a little piece of commentary from Master YongHua. Master YongHua said, when the Avatamsaka Sutra is being explained, you get protection. You have tremendous protection, especially from the earth spirits. And the result of that is that it's no earthquake. Is that right, huh, Tong? You remember what he says? Give him a microphone. I don't remember. I'm too old to remember all these complicated things.
I remember the sutra says, wherever the Avatamsaka Sutra is being explained.
This is Sutra of Master YongHua.
In the Avatamsaka Sutra.
In the Avatamsaka Sutra? Oh, wow, this is even better than that. Yeah.
It says, wherever the sutra is being explained, the area will be protected.
The area will be protected. Wow. Isn't that cool? So we're protected. Hey, that throw rocks at cars driving by. The Korean is so boring. He's like, really? You guys do that? Oh, yeah, all the time. We stand in the tower. To the point it's so bad we have to lock it up. We don't allow people up there anymore. It's only Xinji now who gets to do it. Anyway, so it's a sutra that says so. Wow, isn't that cool? Don't believe it. How is it possible? So the sutra says it's because when the Avatamsaka Sutra is being explained, the earth spirits would come and protect it, to provide support. Just imagine you sit there and listening to sutra and all of a sudden the earth shakes. Are you going to sit there? So that's why, to show their appreciation, and the benefits, the great benefits they're getting, everyone's getting, the earth spirits have to protect the ground so that there's no earthquake. Earthquake happened because and what happened is that and then the sutra also said that because some earth spirits are not powerful enough, so many more earth spirits will have to come and help out so that they too get the benefits as well. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Well, let me tell you what it really means. The sutra says that, but don't get a big head. Don't say that, oh, Jim is going to go back and say, from now on, I will explain the Avatamsaka Sutra in my house. And the hell of earthquake insurance. Can you think about it? We just, hey, let me explain the Avatamsaka Sutra. I don't buy earthquake insurance. Save myself so much money. No flooding. Huh? Imagine you go to the coastal areas where the sea level is rising. Look at that. Flooding is imminent. So you start explaining Avatamsaka Sutra. Or you go to Andreas Fault. Say Andreas Fault. And you say, I'm going to explain Avatamsaka Sutra right here. And we'll never have an earthquake. You really believe that? If he goes and at the epicenter of the Andreas Fault and say, now Andreas is going to explain the Avatamsaka Sutra. Yes, sir. What do you have to say for yourself?
Maybe there's an invisible Bodhisattva there right now for the whole time. It's been explaining the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's why we haven't had an earthquake.
Maybe you're that invisible Bodhisattva. How's that? Many Bodhisattvas right there too, coming as a short boy. Huh? Yeah. The point here is that the protection is proportionate with the person explaining the sutra. Don't get a big head. Does it make sense? If you explain it, probably earthquake left and right. So, can you believe what he does in that sutra? That's shake the hell out of these people so that they don't stop doing this ignoramus, this crazy thing. Does it make sense? But Master YongHua, look at it. He says when he explained it, nothing happened to that area. Imagine the kind of money we can all save, from earthquake insurance and fire insurance and flood insurance and all those things. All right. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Okay, 240. Their wisdom eye was clear and penetrating, and they contemplated the three periods of time as equal.
慧眼明彻，等观三世。
Okay, wisdom eye, clear and penetrating. Okay, what is this wisdom eye here? This is a very important concept that I know that most of you don't know. And I haven't heard any good explanation about wisdom eye. And for some reason, Master YongHua decided to explain it a very casual thing, or maybe his disciples didn't understand it, so that's why they translate only the part, and they're so unimpressive. All right, so what is this wisdom eye? Anyone? I'm looking at Chinese to make sure I don't contradict this. Anyone? Okay. Let me explain to you just quickly. You will. There's those five eyes. Any interest? The Chinese talk about five eyes, but five eyes. Okay. So, what are the five eyes again? Okay. Just counting my fingers. Okay. The five eyes are interest to you are the flesh eye. Huh? Flesh eyes. Master YongHua explained some of that. I forgot what he said. Flesh eye is not the same as your flesh eyes, by the way. This is your normal eyes. The flesh eyes can see things. For example, you can sit here and you can say, someone is approaching my car over there, okay, and trying to get a hubcap. Okay. So there's a range where you can see things. So far so good. You can go. You don't need to work. It cannot be stopped by walls. Okay. So that's say you can see like 100 miles away. You can see, you can see that. A navel orange is on sale at the supermarket. Cool knowledge. You save so much money. Think about it. Instead of worrying about wasting money, we go and buy it, and save a lot of money and make up for all the waste of water and food. So far, so good. So the flesh eye is a cool thing to have, and anyone can have it. Okay? You practice meditation, you open your flesh eye. Next is heavenly eye that Master YongHua likes to talk about quite often. Flesh eye, heavenly eye can see in the heavens and see down in the hells. So actually, you open your eyes, heavenly eye, any of you, okay? Open your heavenly eyes. You practice. First dhyana, open heavenly eye. You open heavenly eye, first dhyana. So you get higher and higher, the heavenly eye becomes more powerful. You can see more. Is that clear? So it's not exclusive to you. That's why in Buddhism, we can fake to people like you, okay? But it's very difficult to fake to people who actually practice, who open their eyes and they say, God is not celibate. Any Catholic here? Did we lose any Catholic today? So because the Catholics cannot see, that's why they believe anything they're told. Okay? But our Buddhist disciples say, wait a minute, God has 10,000 concubines. 10,000. Meaning a lot, not just 10,000, it's just 100,000, if you will. So that's why the heavenly eyes, you can see the heavens, see what's happening in the heavens, see what's happening in the hells. That's why some people will say, I saw a lot of monks down there. So I asked them, did you see me? Said, okay, so heavy eyes, you can see, things that normal eyes cannot see and flesh eyes cannot see. So there are two kinds of eyes. Third kind of eye, so the first two eyes are available to everyone. Everyone. Anyone can have those eyes. It's no exclusive to anyone. But depending on your level, again, your accuracy and your range and your power differ, but you can see. Okay, so typically you can see in the heavens. What's the big deal? Okay, you can see heavens. You can see ghosts. You can see demons. It's not a big deal in Buddhism. Okay, so that's why. Whereas the other religion make a big deal out of spirits and ghosts and so forth, in Buddhism says, hey, it's no big deal. Dragons, kick a dragon. Okay, so third eye is called, what's the third eye? Yes, Tony is interested. Two.
Dharma selecting eye.
No, that's not the spiritual eye.
The eye?
Huh?
The Buddha eye.
That's number 5. I'm looking for number 3. Yes.
Thưa thầy, có phải là huệ nhãn không ạ?
Master, is that wisdom eyes?
No. Wisdom eye? Oh yeah, that's
Dharma
wisdom eye.
eyes.
You're right. No, wisdom eye. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thưa thầy, đó là pháp nhãn ạ.
No. Wisdom eye. You're right. Stick to your. You have to believe in yourself. Don't
Dạ,
believe in
huệ
me.
nhãn.
No self-confidence. So the third eye is wisdom eye. Okay, what is wisdom eye? The wisdom eye is the eye of a fourth-stage arhat. Below fourth-stage arhats, we cannot have wisdom eye. When you reach fourth-stage arhat, then you have the wisdom eye. Okay, what does wisdom eye do? This wisdom eye here enables you to see the empty nature of everything. Everything is empty. Money is empty. Red cars are empty. Houses are empty. Concubines are empty. So that's why they have no attachments. They absolutely are not interested in anything. That's the fourth stage arhat. Arhat says, well, except for booze and kalbi, I'm not interested in anything. I can put down anything. So that's the advantage of wisdom eye. It says, if you really see the true nature of things, they're all empty. Beautiful women are empty. Handsome men are empty. Okay? Fame is empty. Countries are empty. Power is empty. Children are empty. So what's there to be attached to? And that's why it's called, you have wisdom. You see the true nature of things as empty. That's why you have zero attachments. You're so free. And that is true freedom. True freedom is that you have zero attachment. No attachment whatsoever. No dependency whatsoever. So far, so good. That's why it's called wisdom eye. Okay. So here the wisdom eye was clear and penetrating. They're very powerful. Clear meaning that there's no mistake. Penetrating is that it cannot be fooled. Okay, by appearances, by foundations, makeup. Okay, so that's why it's clear and penetrating, and contemplating a few periods of time is equal. So they said they transcend time. Meaning what? It means that unlike us, we only worry about this one lifetime we have. They plan for their plans span the 3 periods of time. They came here because of the past. They're doing the best they do right now and they account for the future in their actions as well. Does it make sense? So you see, the reason that we make mistakes is because we're short-sighted. We don't see there's some consequences in things we do. Okay? So these bodhisattva, they realize, okay, this lifetime, this is as far as go, but next lifetime goes on and on and on. It's called relationships. It doesn't stop. The hatred doesn't stop. The love doesn't stop. When they love someone, love that person forever. Huh? So that's the timeline. We are too short-sighted. That's lack of wisdom. So far, so good? Do we have other eyes? Okay. Yes. 5.
Master, what's a good way to use the heavenly eye?
Good way to use the heavenly eye? I like to watch what God does. And then check, is it what they say in the Bible? I don't know. We'll get to use. Why do you have to use it? I don't get it. Just because we have it doesn't mean you have to use it. That's precisely the point. My attitude is that when you have it, don't use it. If you have it, it's no big deal anymore. Why do you keep on using it? It's just like, once you have it, the novelty stops. It's no big deal anymore. So I don't want to talk about heavenly eye. I want to talk about Buddha eye. I don't have Buddha eye. Okay? Yes, number 1.
In one chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra, it's about universal worthy. It's not chapter 40. It's about, I think it's Samadhis of universal worthy or something like that. And he was talking about the 3 periods of time as all happening like at the same time, simultaneously. Is that what they meant when they said the 3 periods of time is equal?
Yeah. I explained to you in a simple way that they don't only, for example, for us, we only worry about this lifetime. I want to maximize my enjoyment of money right now. Well, actually, that's too short-sighted. And so, but you can look at a deeper level where equal or the same. Past, present, and future are the same, meaning there's no distinction. Okay. Too bad they chose to express it in the form of equal. Let's see what Chinese, maybe the translation. 等观善事. Okay. Yeah, he says so. The past, present, future are equally important. They all matter. You don't emphasize present consumption or future consumption and so forth. It's all important. Okay, no discrimination. Yes, 6.
Master, it's just a comment that it's just a continuum.
It's continuum, yes. Actually, no continuum even. There's no distinction.
Right, I mean no distinction. It just keeps going.
The time distinction is because we're confused. When you're in Samadhi, there's no time, right? No notion of time. Think about it. When you're Samadhi, time flies by just like that. You open your eyes, 45 minutes. Okay? So that's what happens when they are in Samadhi. They don't discriminate. They're all the same to them. Yes, 1.
So when people talk about like present moment or like now, that's false thinking because now is the same as past and future.
To think is the fault. Is false already. Whatever you think doesn't matter. It's false. Yes, 7.
Daniel objects, what do you mean God has concubines? That's not in the Bible.
Poor Daniel. Open your heavenly eyes, my friend. Don't believe everything you're told. Verify for yourself. We Buddhists do that. Okay? So we Buddhists are unlike Daniel, people like Daniel, Buddhists. We tell you, you have the heavenly eye. Open it. There versus they tell Daniel, you have no eye whatsoever. Don't believe what the Buddhists say. All right? So it's okay. If you don't feel you have the eye, it's okay too. Just, it's no different. It doesn't matter to us whether you use it or not, you have it or not. It's your problem. Objection overruled. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. All right. So I don't know how Master Shua went to the old, review the old, learn the new. Anyone has any clues? Yes, Andres. Sure, you must have a clue.
When we were talking about Guan Yin, how she faces south, I felt like it made sense when, because a lot of us don't look back on our past actions and review it and think, oh, what do we want to do different? What do we do bad? How can we do it better?
Wait. Speak for yourself. I look at my past actions all the time and feel very ashamed of past actions. But I look at my past all the time. I'm obsessed about it. When you're perfectionist, that's what you do. You could, can I do it better?
Well, yeah, that's because you're master. But there's a lot of people who don't do that. I know I didn't do that for a long time.
You are more the exception, I know, than the rest of us. Who doesn't look at your past? Who doesn't let the past bother you? One. You see?
But you may let it bother you, but I mean, I think when he says review it, maybe you go back and you try to strategize how you can fix the problems you made before.
We're talking about mistakes. What he's talking about here is what you learn. It's different. He's talking about learning, book learning.
I mean, I was saying the Guan Yin, why she faces south. That was delayed response.
Yeah. Guan Yin faces the south. She's facing the south. I just always wonder why she has to do things differently than the rest of us. We face anywhere. It's just sitting. Seriously. Just think about it. Let's say Andres wants to go pose to have his statue made. He says, let me face the south. I insist I have to face the south. I don't understand the emphasis on facing south. That's why I'm making fun of the Chinese. The reason I keep on harping about it is because the Chinese could not come up with an adequate answer. How can you have tremendous wisdom from Master YongHua, from all these great teachers. Why didn't anyone ask them? So when we transfer the knowledge from China to over here, my first question is, why south? Before I repeat that to my disciples, I have to be sure I understand why. I don't just say, Master YongHua said faces south, therefore, why do you face south? So okay, but there must be a reason. What's missing here that we don't know? We have the right to ask. Yes, go ahead, one.
Thank you, Master. Real quickly, I'd like to send sincere happy birthday wishes to Dharma brothers Along and Alex. Happy birthday.
Oh, that's Alex? Oh, wow. Happy birthday. All right. Okay, bro.
In terms of reviewing the old and learning the new, management training that I received is that at the end of every day, as you gather your thoughts at the end of the day, review your interactions you had with people. For me, this meant sometimes I would think of when I interacted with a teammate or a fellow manager, and I'd kind of feel like spikes, like emotional spikes, like, ooh, I could have done that better. Or sometimes I would say, oh, that went really well. Why did that go really well? And then take those learnings, which are in the past, and then apply it to the new day. Try not to repeat the same mistake again. You will, but, try not to.
Anyone else would like to agree with that? Read my face. Read my facial expression. Yes, Andres?
Yeah, I sometimes feel like it's a really good thing to do that because you learn where you made mistakes and what can you do better. But then at the same time, conditions are always changing. Every condition is different. Every situation is way different. And you might find patterns within the situations. Like, you might find patterns within the situations that would apply to the next one. But sometimes a completely different approach is valuable to the next situation. And sometimes, a lot of the time, the reason I wasn't reviewing the past as much is because I spent a lot of time learning how to improvise on instruments. And so improvisation became a skill. Thank you.
I can find anything else that's clean to throw at you. Don't continue. Anyone else? Oh no, another cohort. Yes, 3.
Well, after reading this, it seems to me that if we're learning the Dharma, we may not have the wisdom to understand it all. But if as our wisdom grows and we review what we've heard, we may understand more as we progress.
No wonder the Chinese have no geniuses. Because this is how they teach their people. What happened is that, to me, when I read this, to me it's obsession. Why are you so obsessed about learning? It reminds me of, I heard of Korean kids going to school, at 6 in the morning. They're supposed to show up at school. If they're late, they have, bad grades, and they stay there. They finish 2 or 3 and rush to tutoring, yes? And they don't get home till 11 at night, and that's a normal day. 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 6 days or 7 days? Huh? Young men, 7 days. No wonder by the time they get married, they say, I'm too tired, honey. Let's not have children. It's too sad for them. What happens is if you keep on doing that, you're so exhausted. You review, it's never enough. You review, and try to learn more, and review, but you learn more as well. It's endless. You cram. How much can you cram to your head? Reviewing here to me sounds like cramming. Cram more. When is it going to stop? Yes, there's some people on the average, you have a way of eliminating the ones who cannot cram. They cannot remember like me, okay? I become a plumber, we will not be a scientist, okay, because I can't cram. Does it make sense? That's how you separate, you separate the smart people from stupid people like me. I understand the system. Here's my problem. What about the geniuses? Yes, one.
Thank you, Master. Geniuses don't have to cram.
They don't have to cram. Okay? So you telling geniuses, you have to keep reviewing it over and over again. Remember the old ones and you understand the new ones. So review the old, know the new. And this is for sheeps. Remember? So you be a better sheep than the other sheeps. That's what the system produces. That's my problem with this. It's fantastic. It screens out the weak very quickly, but also only produces, it compresses the average as well. Yes, sir, in the back. 5.
Okay. This is only my interpretation.
Yes.
But maybe reviewing the old and knowing the new means by practicing what you know every day, you will deepen your understanding until you perfect it.
It works, absolutely. I'm not saying it doesn't work. My objection is it does not apply to the cream of the cream. It should not be a rule for everyone. It should. Yes, 7.
Jane has a couple comments. She says that's Confucian.
Jane is Chinese, by the way.
She says there's a Confucian saying.
See?
Comes from a Confucian saying, reviewing the old and knowing the new.
I don't like Confucius. Because I happen to believe that he's only training us to be sheeps. Wait for your turn. 3. 5 first.
Master, speaking about sheep, yesterday I saw a master with a red Ferrari. Master is driving sheep to the Pure Land, so it will be a cool thing, though.
Just buy me one. Stop talking. 3.
No, I have encountered this kind of person. When I was in engineering school, I used to write all my notes down, study them over and over, try like hell to get through the classes. This guy would walk in, he wouldn't even have a notepad. Sit down in the chair, listen to a lecture once, go home and party, go to the exam, A.
A, yeah. Yeah, I met such people. Tell them to review the old and so that you can understand the new ones. He said, "Are you joking? You must be joking, right?" There are people like that in this country. And the system accommodates them. That's my point. Over there, if you don't do what they say, you are no good student. Get out. Go do something else. Here, we embrace everyone. You want to review the old and cram in the new? No problem. Go for it. You be an outstanding goat. There's nothing wrong with that. We need goats. Yes, 7. Did you have more?
Jane also.
Oh, excuse me, Jane. Oh, God. No respect.
She just commented, modern cramming is geared towards standardized tests which did not exist during the Avatamsaka times. Cramming eliminates creativity.
Cramming makes me tired. God. Conk.
Hello. Master, I think Korean culture really don't like people that are different than most people. I think when I was younger, that was like really difficult for me because like in the reality, everybody is different, but everybody is trying to fit in. Otherwise, you feel like people give pressure that you have to behave the same.
You're not even Korean. I don't agree with what you just said. I'm not Korean either. But for you to say that, I don't think that's how the Koreans work. And I don't believe that's the way it really works. They have a certain protocol when they talk to each other, they treat each other, but they are very individualistic. Look at them, she's different. They're different. None of them is the same. They pretend to look the same, but they're all different. Just the behavior makes them look like sheep, but they're not. Are you? Yes, Alex. 5.
I have a question. This is following the opening up of the wisdom eye. When you do make a breakthrough and start seeing the emptiness of things in everything, how do you restructure your life to include it in everything? So I was thinking about opening the wisdom eye, and then every day you have to look around and be like, everything old I learned was wrong, and now I have to reorganize my life.
See the problem when you try to intellectualize this thing called the wisdom eye? You see the problem? It doesn't make sense. What do I do with my life now? This is so complicated. My life is fine now. When I have wisdom, I have to double check everything, throw away so many things. Even like my attic, I love my attic the way it is. Now I go back and check, all these memories, the keepsakes from my mother, my ancestors. And what's the point of having a wisdom eye? It makes me more miserable. That's what you're telling me. That's because you don't understand how wisdom eye works. The point here is not for you to see, to decide whether it's beneficial to you. It's only to tell you that it's such a cool thing to have. And when you have it, you know what to do. It's not for us to understand. Okay? So, if you ask me if I had a wisdom eye, what would I do? First thing I do is go back and clean up my attic. Whole yard sale. And advertise things from the 1930s and 40s. So it's different for each person. But the point is that once you have that, it helps you shed. That's the concept behind it. It naturally helps you shed things because you no longer are attached to things. And you naturally will know what to do. It's not something we sit there and analyze, If I had the wisdom eye. That's what intellectuals do. If I had the wisdom eye. But whereas for us Buddhists, he said, wow, what a cool thing to have. Let's go for it. And then you say, oh, actually it's cooler than I thought. That's what happened to all of them. It's not the way you think. When you don't have it, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why they would want to have it. Okay? No, it's once you have it, then it's a fantastic thing. Okay. Same thing, that if I didn't know this is a Confucian thing, and thank you, Jane, for adding that, for helping me understand that. This is a Confucian teaching. It makes sense. I was when I was in Vietnam, I was doing that too. In the French system, we cram like crazy. I never liked to cram, so I didn't do well. Okay, but to me, to me, it's excessive, the way that he's been implemented, because it's so competitive that it causes problems for our children. Okay, so if I were Korean, for example, just to throw a nationality, ethnicity out for the heck of it, I send my children abroad. I would not let them in a Korean system because it's too competitive, and it limits it forces them into a funnel too early in life. You have to cram. You go next grade, and you cram more. So you keep on cramming. So your life is about cramming, education about cramming. So you force yourself to learn things that your teachers want you to learn, instead of exploring for yourself what you really want to do. Okay? So it works well. Okay? But you don't realize why it works well. It works well because of your blessings, your Buddhist blessings. It's not simply by cramming alone. What people like Daniel doesn't realize that even though Korea right now has many Buddhists, like 70%, 50% are many Catholics, Christians, more than Buddhists. Okay? So that's why they can say, because your success here, after that you should give 10% to your salary to the church and so forth to show your gratitude and so forth. But people don't realize it's actually from their Buddhist blessings. Yeah, the ancestors were Buddhist. Yes, Evan.
Chun has a question. As a parent, I quote this Confucian teaching to teach my son. My question is, how do I know if my kid is cream of the cream or a sheep? Should I teach Confucius teaching to him or not?
Oh, absolutely. Teach Confucius teaching. I would teach Confucius teaching, okay, as a base. Remember, we need to go for the average first, okay? So that fills in the time. But depending on the ability, the kid's ability, I would add more and more and more. No. There's nothing wrong with learning sheep's concepts so that we can relate to sheep's. But do not judge them based on those standards alone. Huh? Okay, thank you. Can I keep it? Yeah. Thank you very much. Oh, you take it back? She give it to me and you take it back. Okay. No. I feel that you should encourage our kids to follow their things that are enjoyable to them. Okay, and the worldly concepts of success is heavily weighted towards money, towards degrees, towards and so forth. And guess what happens? Our young people, they're so tired, they're so preoccupied. Even I met in Korea. It's funny. I went to Korea. I met some engineers who went through the grinders and graduated from very prestigious universities. Okay, and they excel. I look at them and the guy says, "I'm so depressed. I'm so unhappy. I don't have a girlfriend. I can't relate to people." I mean, that's extreme to me. That's out of balance. Okay, so that's why I would encourage the Koreans to send the kids to America. We may have a lot of problems, but we are very open-minded when it comes to, put them through, send them to a good school here, and you see how they are able to do a lot of things, to explore their interests. Don't push them in a funnel like this, okay? Is there plenty of Korean boys and girls are like that already? That's fine. You know, the economies will be fine. But there's some, you need to make room for the extraordinary, the superior, the outstanding kids to be themselves. They should not be influenced by sheep teachers. That's my problem. This is fine. But we also need to expose our kids. I'm not just talking about Korea, I'm talking about China, I'm talking about Vietnam, all those things, the French as well. The French is also cramming. Okay? And that works very well. But I'm fortunate I came to this country and I saw how, just like Jim got met into these geniuses, they walk in and says, what's the big deal? They seem to understand it better than the professors. Who say, no, what you say is still, your domain is too narrow. It should be. Yes. It's fantastic. There's people, I went to the schools, I learned more from the students, my peers, and the teachers. The teachers like sheep herders, but they can't teach people who are not sheep. Yes, 3.
And Master, there's nothing a professor loves more than a student pointing out where they're wrong.
How true. Yes, 1.
Thank you, Master, and thank you, Mary Jo, for pointing that out. I have a specific example of this.
Yeah.
In my college level 300 class, I was taking a poetry course, and I'll never forget this. The professor said, "Everyone write down on a piece of paper and anonymously submit who your favorite poet is." And they said, and names would come up, Whitman, and he'd be like, yes. Robert Frost, yes. And then he got to mine, and I put down Bob Dylan. Right? And he went on a 15-minute tirade about how Bob Dylan was not a poet. And I remember being so ashamed and embarrassed personally at this moment. And then 20 years later, who was rewarded the Nobel Laureate Prize for poetry?
Bob Dylan.
Thank you, Master. My point. I've restrained myself from writing him a very strongly worded letter.
Nice example. Okay. Yes, Andres. 1.
My dad was telling me a story about Jeff Bezos the other day, and he said Jeff Bezos used to be he used to study math at Princeton, a math major, and him and his roommate were trying to solve this one problem. They spent all night trying to solve it, and they couldn't solve it. And this one guy came into their room, and he's like, "Hey, try to solve this." And he wasn't even a math major, and the guy solved it in 5 minutes. And at that point, Jeff Bezos knew he needed to change his major. So maybe, not everybody is not
into
everybody.
Retail?
Say it again?
He changed from mathematics into retail?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he. It's hard to argue that he's not a genius. I mean, after what he's built, and a company you like to use, right?
Don't put words in my mouth, son.
Yeah, but maybe not everybody can be a genius in something that, or be good at something, that they fit the mold in. But I think some people can be really genius at certain things, and they should stick to those and develop those skills.
No, don't worry about it. I'm joking. I just speak just to be controversial. The geniuses, you cannot suppress them. I'm sorry. You cannot suppress Einstein. You cannot suppress these geniuses, Beethoven. And even if they go deaf and something, they still find a way to produce. Okay, they go blind, they still, Okay. So don't worry about it. I just feel that we should be more open-minded and encourage our children to be themselves. That's so much more important. And don't be so obsessed about success in a sense that you must go to a good school, get a good job, and you know, and what if the girls don't like you? What a horrible life. Successful and celibate like God. It's funny, I ask you, no one dare ask the Christians and Catholics, if God is successful, why is he celibate? If I were successful, I have so many churches, heck, I would never be celibate. I'm being controversial. That's okay. I'm making fun of Daniel. Let him get back to me a little bit later. Okay. Can we continue? Okay. They had reached total purity in all samadhi.
于诸三昧具足清净。
Okay. So, I don't know what they mean by total purity in samadhi. Okay. This is incredible state. Because when you talk about our level, low-level samadhis, it's not pure. Because what they mean here is that in all samadhis, these bodhisattvas enter, they have no thoughts whatsoever. Zero thoughts. That's what it means. Because remember, we're talking about the bodhisattva, mahasattva leaders of the bodhisattva mahasattvas. These beings are incredible, let me tell you. So I have no clue what they're talking about. So it's fun for me to see this sanmei, this samadhi here, this total purity. That's virtually impossible. Okay? So at that level, at purity, it's total purity. In any samadhi they practice, is fantastic. Okay? As a reference, your samadhis are not totally pure, because even you enter samadhi, you still have thoughts that you're not aware of. Whereas in these mahasattvas, when they enter samadhi, absolutely no thoughts. That's what is meant by total purity. Does it help? This is different state, okay? Know your limitations. Don't be, don't think so highly of yourself. You got it? It's a state. It's fantastic. Okay, 246, the ocean-like eloquence was infinite and vast.
辩才如海，广大无尽。
So he says, these mahasattvas, their eloquence, meaning that whatever they discuss, okay, is so captivating, so interesting, so fun, okay? And what their subjects are infinite. Whatever you talk about with them, they keep on talking on and on and on and on. And it's vast, meaning that it's bring up any topic and they can speak eloquently about it. Infinitely. To the end of time. You're never bored. Isn't it fantastic? Don't ever have to look for another friend. If you're bored, go over and say, hey, let's hang out and talk about something. Let's throw a dart and talk about something. Okay, today, children education. Tomorrow, cryptocurrency. Next day, Programming. Huh? Isn't it fun? Imagine this, the kind of things that does not come about from cramming. We've been talking about cramming. This is not the result of cramming. It's from wisdom. So if I criticize the cramming, what is my solution, my proposal? Meditate. Because instead of reviewing, keep on cramming, let meditation, when you do Chan, you will naturally focus on things that you need to focus instead of cramming for everything. Because here's what happens to you. When you learn something, okay, some of it is familiar. Why do you keep on reading over it again? You got my point? Logistically speaking, you're familiar with it already. You don't need to keep on reading it day after day after day because, hey, it's there already. So what's the point in adding more? So when you meditate, you naturally skip to the things that needs attention. It reduces a lot of cramming. So that's why instead of pushing my children to cram, okay, I would prefer to encourage them to spend time on meditating every day. And that's a balance. Cramming is good, but you do that in parallel with meditation, it will be a much better combination. It's less taxing for them. All right. Okay, now 247, the 4 kinds of eloquence. Okay, and this refers to the state of, oh no, he's here to defend his God. Hey, Catholic, we just had an interesting question, and we hope that you can contribute. Forget about this eloquence here. God is so successful, we've been asking ourselves, why is he celibate? It's an ambush today. Seriously, I ask myself that. He has anything he wants. He can have anything he wants. Why he be celibate? Five, okay. This might take all day.
I do not know. I don't speak for God, so I do not know.
No, just think about it, because Alex, you need to convince Alex, say, Alex, I think you should be Catholic. I say, okay, fine, I would consider being Catholic. But explain to me, huh? So Alex would tell you, explain to me, if I follow your God, and your God is so omnipotent, omniscient, everything, and he can have any girl he wants, why is he celibate? How you answer him? Yes, sir, 5. You have the floor right now. We're not going to discuss eloquence anymore. I don't care about eloquence anymore. This is more interesting. Seriously, I never have been able to carry on a conversation, discussion with, a non-Catholic or quasi-Catholic. Yes. Why would we celibate?
I do not know.
Does it bother you? Does it bother you? I mean, if I read the scriptures and all these wonderful teachings, but they tell me just a little detail here that's kind of left out. Why are you celibate?
I cannot speak for God, but I could speculate that maybe because he is our love, so basically doesn't really matter in a way.
Say what? Listen to yourself. If it's about love, shouldn't you love as many women as possible?
Yeah, but I don't believe that he will have...
Yes or no? No, I'm asking you. I'm not talking about God anymore.
No, I only could have only one.
Oh, that's way young. That's way young. That's not fair. We don't believe you. No, we way young talk like that, but we don't mean it. We all know that. The women know that. But they still like to hear it. Oh, you guys, yes, one.
Thank you, Master, so much for asking this question. It's something I have not had the opportunity to ask myself.
Oh, the audacity is safe here, inside this church.
If I may, my follow-up question would be, if God's celibate, how did he send us his son to die for our sins?
Oh, boy. Ouch. Adopted son? So Jesus is Vietnamese then? Yes, Daniel.
I don't know why, but I was thinking, in that case, why the Buddhas didn't have a lot of wives either? I just wondering now why.
He had wives and concubines before he became, before he left the home life. He had a very good life.
No, I know that. It's in history. But I mean, after, like when he went to wherever he goes, after they died, do they still have concubines and wives after that?
After that, they look at wives and concubines as empty. Your God does not look at your concubines as empty. You see, that's a difference. It's not important anymore. Not to him. Okay, well. Hey, Mama is here. Oh, well. Any questions or comments for today? Isn't that fun? We can talk about anything, huh? Why is it they never? Oh, yes. Spy number 2.
Master, to answer to speculate on why God would be celibate, using your own word in the lecture today, when you were explaining the wisdom eye, or you said that, or the heavenly eye, you said if you don't have it, it's a big deal. But according to Daniel, God can have anything omnipresent. So he can have it, then it's not a big deal. Why would he want a woman if he like, you said it, you could have it, it's not a big deal, not important anymore.
Just listen to yourself. You wouldn't even believe yourself. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. In that case, let's do the reverse transference. Thank you all.